Welcome participants in the next session of Organizational Behavior MOOCs, and in the last session we were talking about the organizational citizenship behavior, and this session we will talk about the organizational behavior models. In this session we will discuss about the organizational behavior model and what are different type of models and what are their characteristics and how these models are working in the organization. And before we start understanding about organizational behavior model, let us try to understand what is need, why we should understand that. Actually, in the first or second sessions, we were talking about the various level or constituent of organizational working. If we talk about various levels of organizational working, in that individuals are working at individual level. Yes, there are teams working in the various departments as a whole as well as its smaller teams, and yes, of course, at last the organization as a whole is working, and among all these the human beings are working. And if human beings are working, the set of all their actions and reactions are considered as behavior. So, to understand the whole gamut of human behavior, being individual, among small teams, among departments and organization as a whole, there is need to understand the intricacies of behavior, and that is called as organizational behavior. Because if we will not understand the individual behavior, behavior in the team and behavior as organization as a whole, it would be difficult to run the organization. Reason being, let us take example of different stakeholders of an organization. There are different stakeholders of organization, and the very first stakeholder holder of organization is the owner, those who have invested in the organization, owner of the organization. Second, employees of the organization. Third, customers of the organization. 4, financiers of organization. 5, suppliers of the organization. 6, government is also one of the stakeholder. Now, let us see. Owner of organization has their interest, employees of organization has their interest, suppliers of organization has their interest. Similarly, financier of organization has their interest, and lastly, the government has its interest in the organization. Because all these interests are different. So, these different stakeholders would be pulling and pushing the organization in different directions, and as a result of that, it would be a structure, complicated structure of various kind of behaviors at individual level, at team level, at department level, as well as at the organizational level. And there is need to understand, if an organization, its administration, its management can understand it in a better way, the attainment of organizational goal would be very easy. If the behavior of different people in organization, or in simple, if the organizational behavior model of organization is not understood and clear to the organizational people, working of organization will become difficult, and it would not be possible to push the organization in the direction of attainment of organizational goal. So, it is important to understand it. Now, let us try to understand the organizational behavior model, and in that model means how the organization has been designed and structured with respect to the different level of behaviors among individual, team and organization as a whole. Understanding of that is understanding of organizational behavior model. Each and every organization is different and unique, even may be involved in manufacturing or creation of similar type of goods and services. Even then they are different. And why they are different? Because human behavior is different, whether it is being exhibited at individual level, team level or organization as a whole level. So, this is understanding about organizational behavior model. Now, let us try to understand the basic characteristics or the nature of organizational behavior model. The very first, it is a separate field of study. It is not a discipline, rather it is a separate field of study, where the behavior of people at individual, team and organization as a whole level are understood. And yes, of course, second characteristic of organizational behavior model is it is interdisciplinary in approach. Interdisciplinary in approach means organizational behavior is a field of study which can be understood by understanding different other disciplines also. So, if we want to understand what kind of model, what kind of structure, what kind of design of human behavior is being practiced in an organization, we need to understand the behavior of people psychologically, sociologically, anthropologically, politically, diplomatically. All these things needs to be understood, and combination of all that makes this field as an interdisciplinary approach. The next characteristic of organizational behavior model is it is applied science. It is not the basic and fundamental science, it is applied science. Why it is applied science? How the principles of psychology, how the principles of sociology, how the principles of anthropology, political science and diplomacy can be practiced in the organization in such an effective way, so that the attainment of organizational goal will become very easy by the contribution of productive and effective behavior of individuals. So, it is applied in nature, where the principles of different disciplines are applied for the attainment of organizational goal for creation of a typical type of organizational behavioral model, structure, design. This field is normative science. Normative science means it describes how the finding of applied research can be applied to socially accepted organizational goals. Normative means the people involved for understanding the organizational behavioral model, they will involve in various kind of researches, and the outcome of those researches will be applied further for the effectiveness and efficiency of the organization. So, it is normative in nature. Not only that, organizational behavioral model is humanistic and optimistic approach. Humanistic. Why it is humanistic? Simply understanding, any organization is a social entity, and once we consider a social entity, it means human beings are working in it, and if human beings are working in it, then it should not be the concern of organization to enhance the productivity, effectiveness and efficiency only. The concern to the human factors there are certain factors which are necessary to deal with the human beings. One cannot deal with a human being in an animal way. No, it is not appropriate. So, there are certain basic fundamental values how people should be treated, what should be done for the basic amenities, what should be done for their basic needs, what kind of behavior is considered as the human behavior, taking all that into stock, and then optimistic. Yes, positively and constructively it should be. Only then the designing of organizational behavioral model can be ensured. Then last one is this organizational behavior model is the system, total system approach. In one of our session we understood what is system approach. According to system approach, an organization is consist of different subsystems, and these different subsystems works together for the organization as a whole system. And I explained with the example of body. Body is a system, consists of 10 subsystems, and I gave example. Similarly, an organization is a system consists of its various major functions, both journal as well as the operational, but apparently the operational functions like finance, production, human resource management, marketing, and similar other kind of functions are the subsystems of this organization. So, the organizational behavioral model must be understood in the light of total system approach also. This is also one of the characteristics. Now, what are different theoretical approaches of organizational behavioral model? As we understood that number of disciplines are contributing to the field of organizational behavior model, and among them the first one is psychology, and psychology is science of understanding the behavior and mental processes of individual, whereas second is the sociological, where we try to understand the behavior of group, and other disciplines are also contributing. And for this, if we want to understand the behavior, then there are three basic approaches, theoretical approaches. We need to practice these approaches principles, only then we can understand the model of organizational behavior. And the first one is cognitive, second is behaviorist, and third is social learning frameworks. Now, let us talk about cognitive. Cognitive is something, the process of mind or mental processes. In one of the session we discussed that mental processes are the processes which starts from sensation, perception, imagination, concentration, and then your problem solving, decision making, all these are the mental processes. So, if we want to understand the behavioral model of an organization, then what kind of mental processes are working, are contributing individually, as a team, and organizational as a whole. And as a result of this cognitive, then what kind of behaviors are expressed by the individuals, by the teams, and by the organization as a whole. That is the in the behaviorist approach, understanding of all the actions and reactions towards organization by individuals, by teams, and by organization as a whole are understood. And the last one is the social learning, because as I told you that organization basically is a social entity, and if it is a social entity, then people work with their mental processes, people act and react according to their behavior, and yes, of course, people learn by observing the behavior of others, that is social learning. What kind of leadership is being provided by the leader of organization, that is not only for the effective working of the organization, it is also for the learning of people. Suppose at the lower level of deputy manager, manager, senior manager, then the additional general manager, then the general manager, then senior general manager, all they are the social entities and exhibiting the behavior, and those behavior can be learnt by social learning, by observing it. So, this is third part, theoretical approach of understanding the organizational behavior model. Now, what are different type of models? There are basically 5 models considered, and among them the very first one is Autocratic model, Custodial model, Supportive model, Collegial model and System model. These are the 4 different models of organizational behavior. And among them, Autocratic model, all we understand, autocratic means the power exercised by the leaders, where there is no participation of the team. Autocratic means the leader will exercise the power, leader will issue the command, instruction and orders, and the team members have to act accordingly. They do not have their personal opinions, they cannot change the orders, the instructions and the commandments. They have to act accordingly, they have to follow them. That is autocratic model, and this model can be understood at the team level and the organizational level. Here the power is kept at the top level, and it is not delegated appropriately, and people and the team and organization as a whole are follower to the leaders only. They have to follow the commandments, and if that would not be done, then accordingly there will be action for that. So, autocratic model. The next model is the custodial model. The custodial model is where the leader is in the role of custodian. Custodian means the needs, aspirations and all that will be addressed for the team, and team can act by participating in it. So, that is custodial model, and in the custodial model the environment becomes psychologically preoccupied and economic rewards and benefits are meant for the team. The next model is supportive model. Supportive model means now the team as a whole, everyone will be part of decision making and part of exercising the power, and in this a certain kind of environment, culture and climatic conditions are generated where people can participate, people can come forward and support each other. It is just opposite to the autocratic. In the autocratic, people have nothing to say, they have to follow the commands, instructions and orders there, but here in the supportive they can participate and they can contribute in the form of their decisions, in the form of their opinions, and decision is taken by involving the support extended and the contribution made by all of them. Then in the next is collegial model. It is similar as to the collegium which is used for the selection, where there are certain people involved in taking decision, and they are custodian of the power, and it is a kind of body of people which will decide about the working, functioning delegation of power and all that, and then once it is decided, then it would be followed by all the people in the organization when they are working in team and organization as a whole. So, this is collegial model, and next one is the system model. System model means we can again number of times we have tried to explain the system. System means the organization as a whole will be taken as a system, but that system is consist of subsystems, and these subsystems are the various functions or various departments or various units of the organization, and then within that next very smaller teams are working, and then individuals are working. So, a system is from grassroots level of individual, small teams, bigger teams, then the departments, and then organization as a whole. And here the behavior of individual, then behavior of people in the group, very small teams, and then at the department level, and then at the organizational level. Here whenever there is a situation when individual has to take the decision, then in the system that provision is there. On the other hand, when a very small team is working, then the leader and the member, they will act as a small system, but there should be synchronization, there should be coordination, and there should be synergetic effect in the system working among individual, small teams, and then bigger teams, and then a department as a whole, and then organization as a whole. Again we can understand it with the help of our body system, where, or we can take example of any organization. Suppose there is an organization, and in that organization there are 5 different departments: the department of finance, the department of production, the department of human resource management, the departments of marketing, and the department of research and development. All these 5 departments are working. A combination of all these departments working together will be the organization as a whole, but these departments are further subdivided into smaller subsystems, and among them the let us take example of finance. In the finance, that system of financial management department can be subdivided into smaller teams which are doing various activities of financial management. Similarly, in the production, there might be number of activities to ultimately convert the raw material into a finished good or a product, or to create the services. Similarly, for managing the human resource for the organization, the department of human resource management should have different teams. The team which is involved in the assessment of organizational human resource, a team which would be involved in preparation of job analysis. Next team would be involved in the recruitment and selection of human resource for the organization, and the next team might be involved in management of compensation, and then the team which is monitoring and controlling the working of the people, and the team which is taking care of well-being of. So, similarly, among all different departments there might be smaller teams working, starting from your finance, your production, human resource management. Similarly, for the marketing, marketing is a very comprehensive activity which involves the working of individual when they are going for the marketing, working of this very small team given a particular region, and working of bigger teams which are taking care of a state or a bigger region. And yes, if we take example of Coca-Cola, for Coca-Cola region is the Asia region. In Asia region there are number of countries, and countries like India, China, which are very bigger countries, and among them then what kind of marketing teams that should have. So, the systems working in that and what type of behaviors are being executed there, understanding them and then managing them and then developing such a model where all the human behaviors can be accumulated and developed a model, whether it is autocratic model or your custodial model or your supportive model or your collegial model or your system model. It will depend upon the type, nature and size of the organization, where whether a single or multiple models can be practiced. If we take example of a multinational company which is marketing its product all over the world, then in that case, depending upon the political system, the governance system and the legal system of a particular country, accordingly the models of organizational behavior would be developed for effective working. So, with this we have understood, and in this particular session the different models of organizational behavior, and we have tried to understood the behavior of individual, behavior of smaller team, behavior of bigger team and behavior of organization as a whole. So, with this we are concluding this session. I think you might have enjoyed the learning, and in the next session we will come up with other topic. So, thank you very much. We will meet in the next session. Thank you.